I set my boundary and now my parents are making the 4-hour drive over. What do I do? This is a repost sub. I am not the original poster. The op is, you, throwaway 8496712. I've highlighted their 4 posts as well as a number of relevant comments they've made on other people's posts on our Asian parent stories. Here is a historical, fun fact to hide spoilers for our mobile users. The Carrington event was the most intense geomagnetic storm in recorded history. Peaking from 1 to the 2nd of September 1859. It created strong auroral displays that were reported globally and caused sparking and even fires in multiple telegraph stations. The geomagnetic storm was most likely the result of a coronal mass ejection (CME) from the Sun colliding with Earth's magnetosphere. A geomagnetic storm of this magnitude occurring today would cause widespread electrical disruptions, blackouts, and damage due to extended outages of the electrical power grid. Themes and trigger warning. Abusive parenting, narcissism, therapy, setting boundaries, less than, mood, frustration, less than, hashtag just learned that my friends with normal parents don't hear the hard life story over and over again. The 16th of October 2022 in our Asian parent stories. Growing up, both my APs equals Asian parents would constantly tell me these detailed stories of how hard their lives were growing up. And it was always the same ones too. These stories always started with how they lived in poverty back home, but through their sheer will and hard work, they managed to immigrate to North America. Then they talk about how they worked 3 jobs and decided to have me so that I could help them figure stuff out here, despite not having stable jobs or a house, etc. At the end of these long storytelling sessions, sometimes several hours long, they then follow this up with, "Do you appreciate us? Are we good parents?" Quote, "The answer always has to be yes or else. What you do is nothing compared to what we did for you." Cries in university stress and pressure to become a doctor. And joking, but not really joking, that we put so much effort into raising you so you're our investment. For so long, I never really thought much of it. It just felt like they wanted to talk about some of the hard things they had been through. My job was always to express my deepest gratitude and my undying love for and loyalty to them. After lurking on this sub for a while though, I've come to realize that what all of this is just good old-fashioned manipulation. My closest friends and I were doing a long drive together one day and the topic of parents came up. I learned that their parents have never talked about the hard life or the immigration story. Unprompted. Unlike mine, they never felt any guilt for receiving help or asking for help from their parents. I lived in constant guilt. And still do. Their parents never expected them to help them with everything. E.g., translating government docs, insurance, phone calls, deep cleaning the house, etc., whereas mine do. Thank God this sub has really helped me learn more about what's going on here. And talking to friends outside of the system also really helps. Anyone else talk to people outside the toxic family system and learn something new about something seemingly innocent? TLDR. Parents use the hard life story to manipulate me. Friends' parents don't even tell the story at all. Personally, my mom would always tell me the following hardship stories. 1. Grandma was super strict and would beat her if she didn't get first place in her class. This is a story my mom would tell me over and over and say, "And this is why I'm not strict with you," even though the unspoken for expectation from my own mother is, "I expect you'll perform well. Since I did well, I just don't expect perfection." 2. Grandma was sexist and spoiled her brother more than her. My mom tells me this one over and over too. And then proceeds to tell me, "And now your uncle is behind in life and that's all because of Grandma." This is how my mom justifies not spoiling her kids, I guess, by ignoring us altogether. Yes. Thanks for sharing. My grandparents were also sexist and spoiled my mom's brothers but was insanely hard on her. I hear that story over and over too. Interestingly though, my mom always says she spoils me and that I should feel lucky that my parents are so generous. Compared to what she went through. Mind you, generous to them is the bare minimum, lol. Same. So same. After those stories, they would basically coerce the naive young me to innocently promise them to go to whatever university was, to take care of them and give them money when they're older and to make those my little kid me's mission. Yeah. Now I look at them during their same sob stories and I feel nothing. Whoa. All these APs really are the same at their core, huh? Flushed. I promised the exact same thing as a young child. I'd promised to go to the best university in the country, that I would make $300,400 as a doctor, buy them whatever they wanted, and take care of them for the rest of their lives. Funny enough, I did end up going to that top uni for grad school because I thought it would make them happier, proud. But I didn't do med school. I still did something science related. They're superficially proud of that, I guess. But they lie to everyone that I'm a doc, and constantly ask me if I'm still going to apply to med school. So I've learned that it's never really enough. I feel the exact same way when I hear their sob stories. Nothing. Comment by Oop in an unrelated thread, the 16th of October 2022, in r Asian Parent Stories. I went through the exact same thing and my golden child sibling is in literal art school. What I did to explore my interests was change my major and take electives that I wanted to take, all without telling my APs. After graduating, I was lucky enough to find a job that at least allowed me to move out. They got mad at me when I wanted to move, but I just sorta quietly did it, lol. Moving out made sure that I never had them hovering over me and asking me about how pre-med was going. After that, I just quietly pursued my interests. Occasionally told them pre-med was going great, and then eventually told them I wasn't doing med anymore. There was a big fuss, but I just ignored them, which was easier since I didn't live under their roof. It was terrifying but also so liberating. I'm still working on figuring out what I'm interested in too, TBH. And I always feel like I wasted so much time on science. I barely care about it, and that I never became good at anything. I feel empty and lost because of it too. So you're definitely not alone there. I'm not sure if this helps, but I feel like just quietly leaving the system makes a huge difference. Comment by Oop in an unrelated thread, the 5th of January 2023, in r Asian Parent Stories. She would tell me that if I didn't do what she wanted, it would put her in a bad mood that she just couldn't control, and that it would lead to a violent fight with my AD. It was a lie a lot of times, but also not a lie sometimes, so the threat felt unpredictable and terrifying. The worst part is I learned to fear their fighting as a young child. So it's a fear they themselves cultivated, not even some external thing. So somehow I always associated, if you don't do what I want, to this family will fall apart, and it messed me up for years. I'm so thankful I left and that my partner and I are nothing like that. Hashtag message from my AD this morning at 6 a.m. the 2nd of February 2023, in r Asian Parent Stories. Hey guys. Just woke up to this great text from my AD. For context, I stood up to my GC equals golden child sister for her lack of responsibility, manipulation, and for lashing out at me because I didn't want to keep validating her all the time anymore. And my AD was upset that we've been fighting, and keeps messaging me that he wants to talk. I know it's basically a trap since every talk I've had with my family ends up the same way, with accusations that I don't care about them or love them, That my sister is perfect and how I'm horribly wrong. That I want them all to die. That they should just go kill themselves and I would be happier. Etc. I've been keeping my distance and not responding, as this is so emotionally taxing. I'm not even trying to go no contact. I literally have not said anything to my AD. And this was his message out of the blue. Hi OP, I don't know why you are avoiding to talk to us. I am trying very hard to talk to you, but it's look like you don't see your family as important to you. I know that I only going to be with you not more than 10 years from now before I die, and this time will be a last time that I am reaching out to you. I want you to know Dad, Mom and sister are love and care about you very much. Goodbye. I still couldn't help crying after getting it. I'm not even sure what to do. Also, my dad isn't even that old, lol. Comment by Oop in an unrelated thread the 2nd of February 2023 in r Asian Parent Stories. I feel like I'm looking into my future. Flushed sounds like my own indignant APs being willing to throw their relationship with me out the window just to be right. Are they actually so dense that they don't realize that as long as they keep this up, they won't be part of our and our children's lives? And as a result, they won't get their fix of validation or emotional needs or whatever else it is they want. I'm still trying to figure out what to do about my own APs. Especially about children when I have them one day. I wouldn't want my kids to deal with or see any of that manipulation, guilt, lying, etc. either. Good for you for standing up to them. Hashtag I set my boundary and now my parents are making the 4-hour drive over. What do I do? The 25th of March 2023 in r raised by narcissists. Apparently I've hurt them and need to explain myself to them. I have no idea what's gonna happen. I feel like all of my progress in therapy is disappearing from my brain. What do I do? Update. First of all, I am safe. Thank you all for the kind, heartfelt responses. My parents did show up and my partner came home and stepped out to deal with it outside. He managed to get them to leave. And I'm gonna stay at a friend's place for the weekend. If my parents persist in this behavior, we're considering legal action. I carefully considered all of your responses and prioritized my safety. So thank you all again so much. Update 2. I've been reading through all of your responses and just wanted to say that my partner and I talked about it, and since we were considering moving anyway, we're going to go through with it and we're not telling anyone where we're going. Thank you all again so much for the support, and I hope other people like me see all your insightful comments and learn from them, just as I did. Update 3. And Dad sent me a bunch of angry messages disparaging my partner and saying that when my partner leaves me one day I'll have nobody left but my family to turn to. But that he'll still be open to me calling them to explain myself. I'm obviously not going to do that. But I guess we all knew this backlash would happen. I'm grateful that therapy and supports like the people on this subreddit have really helped me become much less bothered by this and able to see it for what it really is. Thank you all again for all your comments and support. It means a lot. Comment by Oop in an unrelated thread the 27th of March 2023 in r Asian Parent Stories. I'm dealing with this exact same situation as we speak. I also don't have all the answers, and I'm still coming down from my own family's reaction to me setting my boundary. But I just wanted to say that you've been extremely brave. You've done one of the hardest parts. And you'll get through this. Keep yourself safe and make sure you have your support systems in place and that they're informed on what's happening. Have a place to go in case they show up at your door. If they know where you live. I didn't think my family would react the way they did, but they surprised me. Keep reminding yourself that you didn't do anything wrong. You just needed space to live your own life, which most children of APs get to have no questions asked. Sending all my love your way. Hashtag has anyone here ever tried getting a therapist or a professional to mediate between you and your parents? The 28th of March 2023 in our Asian Parent Stories. As the title says, has anyone ever tried that? Were you able to find someone who could translate or understand both your and your parents' cultural contexts? If so, how did it go? Yes, tears of joy don't bother. Months before we started family therapy, I had stopped my own personal therapy because I felt stable enough. Family therapy triggered me so badly that I had to go back to therapy and brought up some major issues. The therapist was from the same country as us, but she placed the blame on me for their abuse, and reinforced their belief that my actions as a kid were deserving of abuse. My parents had her convinced they were the victims and she never held them accountable, and placed the entire weight of accountability for our ruined relationship on me alone. Not worth it. Thank you for sharing, and I'm so sorry you had to go through that. I hope you've been able to heal from that and that you're doing much better now. No worries. I wish I had known the possible consequences of family therapy. So just making sure I do my part to inform others. I'm better now. I only really engage with my parents when I have to. Asian parents are masters of emotional manipulation, and it's a good thing to remember that doesn't just apply to family members, it also applies to professionals like therapists. Here's an article on why family therapy with narcissistic parents is difficult. Best case, it goes in one ear and out the other. Worst case is the parents will use therapy against you by exploiting your weaknesses. I think your best bet is to get therapy for yourself. Reminder that this is a repost sub. I am not the original poster. Maybe I'm just a cold-blooded petty prick, but I would get to the point where I would just agree with them. You're right, I don't love you anymore, and I don't think I ever really did. You're right, I don't care about this family, so it's probably better for you to cut ties with me. You don't want someone who doesn't care about you in your life. Also, it's not that I wish you were dead, I just don't really care either way, because honestly at that point, what good will trying to salvage that relationship do? They're still thinking, you're our investment, about OOP, and that means they want something. No financial worries. They were so in their own world that they made someone their golden child who in fact isn't profitable. Their GD costs money, and so they look to their other child. OOP. They're experiencing the consequences of their own actions, but for people who think they're always right, this only feels like an attack on them, and they'll present themselves as the victims in the end. Best thing is NC. I waited until after I graduated high school and left home in the middle of the night with a small bag of essentials. My dad called my cell phone once they realized I was gone and left so many messages threatening me, including, "There will be consequences for this. Come back now and you will suffer less." My mom's messages were, "I can't believe you left me and younger sibling here to deal with him alone." As though either of those things were supposed to encourage me to return. It's wild how wrong people can be and still never see it for themselves. This is just sad. I wish I could just hug all these people and OOP. Luckily, it sounds like OOP is making progress and is on the way to freedom. My grandpa grew up in a horrible situation. Worked his ass off to do better for his kids. Worked himself to the bone so his family would be better off. Literally refused to talk about it because he didn't want to burden us. That's what real heroes do. Not work your ass off to rub it in your kid's face. No one would even know my grandpa was poor if it wasn't for other people telling us. Yes, I can relate. My mom would spoil my brother while being strict with me. Lots of verbal and emotional abuse growing up. My brother is a registered sex offender now thanks to my mom always coddling him. Over the years, I've overcome a lot of that abuse. I have my own kids now and some of that trauma is replaying. It's hell trying to be the one to break some of these generational trauma. But I'm trying to do things a lot differently for my kids every day. I had a narcissist boss send me to coaching. Turned out to be a therapist friend of his who attempted to manipulate me into accepting and enabling his abuse. I have Asian parents who act a lot like OOPs. I'm in my 40s and they still believe they have the right to tell me what to do. I hate visiting them. My mother often threatens to hurt herself when I object to her verbal abuse, and my father blames me for provoking them. She's still angry at me for refusing to go into medicine. I became a college professor instead. But that wasn't good enough for them because it wasn't what they wanted. I did the opposite of everything they told me to do. And they never fail to berate me for that. But of course, they still demand that I provide emotional support and do everything they want. My therapist said they'll never change. All I can change is how I respond to them. Was I the only idiot whose brain kept reading AP as affair partner instead of Asian parents? The best thing to do is agree the next time they go on their, "Oh, we must be horrible parents" spiel. Like, yeah, you are, and you've caused me so much pain and misery that I never want to speak to you again. I'm glad OOP had a partner that's there to support them. Posts like this makes me thank every single god, from Western to Japanese, for the parents that I was born to. Sheesh. Bloody hell. Some parents really deserve a good kicking to understand what YTA they have become. Funny thing is, my Mexican mom was the exact same way, but not as bad. Not sure why it didn't work. Maybe she wasn't manipulative enough. Till this day she still tries, but I mean, I live far away, so it is barely works now that I have my own family to worry about. Edit. Also, I move 1,000 plus miles away and they can't just drive down to emotionally abuse me. LMAO. I went to school with someone whose parents were absolutely determined that she would be a doctor. She worked her ass off to get the required grades, and she did go to med school. The only issue was, she would faint at the sight of blood, which was something that everyone, including her parents, knew. She graduated but went into research, and last I heard, her father still won't talk to her. I would totally have agreed that they were horrible parents if they had asked, because they know in their hearts that they are. I really hope that subgroup helps many escape the abuse these parents do to their kids. So many need to ask elders for permission to marry and do other things while the parents beat into the kid's head. You must make money. You are our retirement plan. My mom have that talk every single day, and the only thing that she's spouting are problems. I was hoping OOP told them to suck a lemon and never come back, or police would be involved and a restraint order, or say you're right and so to solve this. I'm disowning both of you. Have a nice day. Because they need a reality check that they're not entitled to anything and should suck it up and accept it or face consequences. Not Asian parents, but one immigrant parent. She used to say to me, "I'm sure that if your father dies first, you'll just put me in a home and leave me to die." And at some point I did reply with, "Well, you're not wrong. If this is what you expect of me, why would I try to exceed your expectations?" Quote. Thankfully she died first. I did have to move my dad into a senior's lodge. But he's not there to die. Just to make some aspects of living easier. Like no stairs. Or a clothes dryer that actually dries things.
If you enjoyed this video, please check out our playlists full of similar content. Epic Haircast is like doom scrolling for your ears. Please like, share, and subscribe.